up, rise and shine. It's a brand new day with Mona News. It's time to have your say. She's got the scoop, the stories, all the latest trends. Mo's got the news, let's hear it. My dear friends, from politics to showbiz, no story's too small. Mo covers it all. She's got the inside call, her voice so smooth, like honey in the summer sun. With Mo on the mic, you know the news is always fun. Mornings with Mo, the best newsy news in the world. With her style so classic and her stories unfurled, from morning till night, she's got us in the know. Turn on your radio, let Mo's newsy news flow.
Hello and good morning and happy Halloween to everyone. It is thunderstorming out here, so yeah, just all the funness. Wolfram, good morning. Thank you for doing your Modly Mod stuff. Welcome, Just Teresa and Kathy Michelle. Welcome, Tammy Bogard and Barnacle Bob. Welcome, welcome, Swifty and Squid Pro Quo. I'm right there with you. My body does not like the rain anymore. Welcome. I think it's Copper or Cooper, but I cannot remember. So good morning, and I'm sorry. Good morning, observation station. Christine, good morning. Good morning, Boom Her. And everyone, John Gary. Everyone, good morning. I was going to have my costume on, but I think tomorrow my teacher conference and showing up as a Sailor Scout might give them the wrong idea. Not to mention my leg is about, shot with the storm. So, well, that makes perfect sense, actually. Unfortunately, the first story I have for you today is heartbreaking and kind of makes you question what is going on with people. A New York mom and two young children, including a 5-month-old baby, have passed away after it looks like the mother climbed over a safety railing and unfortunately jumped off of the tourist site. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully the article will kind of get more into it, but what a terribly sad choice to make for yourself, but also for your children. A New York mother jumped off Niagara Falls with her two young children, including a 5-month-old baby, and unfortunately, the three did not survive the fall. Keontae Means, 33, stepped over a guardrail Monday night at Luna Island, a popular overlook above the falls, with a nearly 200-foot drop, according to New York State Police. Police did respond at around 9 p.m., with investigators determining that the plunge was intentional. These circumstances remain under investigation, the state troopers said. Means and her children, 9-year-old Roman Rossman and baby Mecca Means, were residents of Niagara Falls. Rescuers have still been unable to locate any of the bodies, unfortunately, as of Wednesday. The mother worked as a DV counselor, according to her LinkedIn profile, and graduated from a school in nearby Buffalo. Friends quickly began paying tribute to Means on social media. I have been speechless and crying and couldn't sleep at all, wrote friend Keshana Morgan on Facebook. My heart is broken. Mental health is no joke. I can't even bear to write a post about her or share memories, said friend Mitch Molina. I'm literally sick to my stomach. I can't even deal with the emotions I'm feeling. Just know her and her children are dearly loved by me and my children. You never really know what anyone's going through, said another, Naisha Ukiah. Luna Island is one of several popular outlooks that are perched above New York State side of Niagara Falls. It's one of the more secluded overlooks in the expansive Niagara Falls State Park, being separated from the rest of the grounds by a causeway over a river channel, and there is a little more than a chest-high rail separating the platform from the deadly drop below. The area is run by New York State Office of Parks and Recreation and is open to visitors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. More than 8 million people pass through the park each year, according to the state agency. The deaths are just the latest tragedy at the landmark in recent years. In 2023, another mother jumped with her son into the Niagara Gorge just downriver from the falls. The mother did pass away in the fall, but rescuers were able to find and save that little boy. If you are having, mental health issues and you are a parent, look, parenting is hard, stressful. You don't ever know if you're doing the right thing. There are so many different ways you can be a bad parent or a good parent, and no one, solution works for every family. Get help for yourself and don't take your children with you. I I don't understand this at all. At all. I don't understand why you would make that choice for your children. I can understand being in a very dark place. I encourage you to call the 24/7 hotline. There are people that will talk to you any time of the day, but I don't get taking your kids. It just who knows? In well, I say justice for Peanut the squirrel. A beloved pet squirrel named Peanut was seized by New York State after 7 years of living in his home. Oh, hell no. We are going picketing as far and wide as that's it, to the street, church or members of the Church of Mo. We are getting Peanut back to his family, and he has a cowboy hat. A rescued pet squirrel that sat atop social media and charity empire has been seized by New York State, with its owner saying it's slated to be euthanized, according to an Instagram post. Peanut the squirrel was taken from his Elmira, New York home Wednesday by officials from the Department of Environmental Conservation, who served a warrant to Peanut's guardians after receiving complaints of, quote, unlawfully possessed animals, according to the Post. Quote, well, Internet, you won. The caption from account Peanut underscore the underscore squirrel 12 reads, you took one of the most amazing animals away from me because of your selfishness. To the group of people who called the DEC, there's a special place in hell for you. Pretty much. No, the government has nothing better to be done. No crime has been committed. No scoundrels are afoot. Let's get the squirrel. The ADEC spokesperson confirmed to the Post that officers took away Peanut the squirrel and a pet raccoon. Just can't have. This is why we can't have nice things. Look, it's a squirrel who wears a cowboy hat. There's nothing better that we have to do in life, and he likes waffles. Hell yeah. The squirrel's owner, Mark Longo, claimed that he was in shock and disbelief that the DEC was going to allegedly euthanize his pet and friend, according to a social media post. The DEC said the animals were seized in coordination with Chungmung County Health Department due to the presence of rabies vectors species in the home. So the raccoon being in there, I guess was a vector for rabies. I mean, I get that, but if it was raised from a baby raccoon and didn't have a chance to get infected with rabies, this seems like government overreach. The state agency did not comment on whether the animals will be euthanized. Longo took in Peanut 7 years ago when he was just a kid after seeing its mother get run over by a car, according to social media accounts. Peanut boasts 532,000 followers on Instagram and more than 423 followers or 1,000 followers on Facebook and over 2 million views on TikTok. Longo, a Connecticut native, moved to Elmira in 2023 to start an animal sanctuary named Peanut's Freedom Farm, a 501c3 approved nonprofit. Last year, we moved to New York in hopes of starting a nonprofit animal rescue in Peanut's name. Peanut's Freedom Farm will forever live in Peanut's memory, Longo wrote in the post announcing Peanut's seizure. With over 350 rescues, we relied heavily on Peanut and his internet family to, further donations to help more animals. I don't even know how we will continue to fundraise for this nonprofit. Peanut's Freedom Farm is an organization made up of veterinarians and caregivers who are dedicated to rescuing animals from abusive or dire situations. Following the announcement of Peanut's capture, Longo posted several phone numbers to the Department for Animal Conservation into his feed, asking supporters to call and protest against the government's actions. There is also a petition to return Peanut to his rightful home. This is not the first time that the DEC has been in public relations hot water over confiscating a beloved pet. Earlier this year, the department also confiscated a 750-pound alligator from a Hamburg, New York home, which was outfitted with a massive room and pool for the reptile's comfort. Albert the alligator had lived in the home for 34 years and was raised from a hatchling by guardian Tony Cavallero, who is now suing the department to regain custody of his longtime friend. I say free Peanut now. Forget Karen Reed, forget Richard Allen, free Peanut right now. We'll remember all of those other people in just 2 seconds, though. As soon as we get Peanut home, we are going back after, Richard Allen and, the Karen Reed case. Oh, So a jury has finally been seated in the Daniel Penny, New York City chokehold case, including strap hangers who witnessed the outburst on the subway. If you have been around LawTube here in the last couple days, this has become a big case, with Andrew Bronca and I believe Nate the lawyer and several other lawyers commenting on this case. If you don't remember this, it was the case of the Michael Jackson impersonator / I believe, unhomed person or whatever I'm supposed to say now, unhoused person. I don't know. But basically, this subway rider / Michael Jackson impersonator was threatening to unalive people, was saying he was not afraid to go to jail. He was not afraid to get a life sentence. He was accosting people in the subway, things like that. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured unhoused, it it's homeless, y'all. It's just he's homeless. I don't get it. I don't get these new words that I'm expected to try to remember when I've had 2 hours of sleep and my leg is on fire. So Daniel Petty was a Marine veteran who decided with 2 other, subway riders to try to subdue this gentleman. Unfortunately, the Michael Jackson impersonator ended up passing away. Daniel Penny, at the time of the incident, was released, and the cops kind of said this was clearly self-defense. But now the state looked back at the issues and pretty much, bowed to political pressure. And now this Daniel Penny is on trial for manslaughter. A jury was seated Wednesday in former Marine Daniel Penny's subway chokehold trial, with a majority of jurors saying that they've had firsthand experience with someone acting erratically on the rails. The 7 women, 5 men are now tasked with deciding whether to convict Penny, 25, of killing Jordan Neely, a homeless man who some witnessed said insanely threatening things to a crowded subway train on May 2023. He faces up to 15 years in prison. They included 3 strap hangers who said they've been harassed on the transit system, and 9 New Yorkers who raised their hands when a judge asked them if they've seen someone have a quote unquote outburst on the subway. One woman who lives in Greenwich Village was chosen Wednesday, and a man once yelled and swore at her and a friend on a subway car. Also selected was an Upper West Side paralegal whose father had served in the Israeli military and who rides the subway 5 times a week, a Murray Hill corporate lawyer, and an Upper West Side retiree who moved to the city from Nebraska. The 12 panelists plus 4 alternates were chosen after a 2-week process that ended with some fiery moments in court Wednesday in the already highly charged case, such as when Manhattan prosecutor accused Penny's lawyers of illegally aiming to oust prospective jurors because of their color from the case. Assistant District Attorney Defana Jorgen ripped Penny's lawyers, Stephen Razor and Thomas Kniff, for using 8 of their 9 no questions asked juror challenges on, quote, people of color, end quote. Kenneth shot back that the suggestion that their juror strikes were racially motivated was quote unquote outrageous and pointed out that one of the juries selected for the case was a male black juror. Justice Maxwell Wiley ultimately allowed the strikes to stand after asking Kenneth to provide other rationales for why the jurors were stricken from the case. Yorn brought up the issue again, also unsuccessfully, after Kenneth and Razor used another strike on a prospective juror of color Wednesday afternoon. If you look at the entirety of their behavior, race is playing a huge part of it, she argued. Now, that being said, there are at least 4 people of color on the jury. Reiser and Kenneth have worked through jury selection process with celebrity jury consultant Joe Ellen Demetrius, who has helped high-profile clients like Kyle Rittenhouse pick juries in recent years and worked with the O.J. Simpson, trial. The DA's office did not have its own jury consultant. Instead, it was relying on research from its paralegals before making jury selection decisions. The issue of race has hung over the case from the start. Penny, who is white, is accused of placing homeless 30-year-old subway busker Neely, who is black, in a 6-minute chokehold on the crowded F train on May 1st, 2023. Neely, who was unarmed, was verbally threatening passengers inside a northbound train as it approached the Broadway Lafayette station. Prosecutors say Penny acted recklessly and ignored an, quote, unjustifiable risk by continuing to choke Neely after the subway doors opened to the platform, allowing some frightened passengers to flee for a minute after he lost consciousness. Penny's lawyers argued that his actions were justified to protect himself and other strap hangers that have cited Neely's chronic abuse of drug K2, not to mention Neely had, I believe, 40 or 50 outstanding charges, or not outstanding, but past charges of, reckless behavior on the subway. So, all of this would have been avoided if Mr. Neely had actually had to, spend some time in prison when he was doing these things instead of getting in and out on cashless bail. But I do think that this will be an interesting trial to see, between what is actually coming out in the court case and what the mainstream media is reporting. Kind of on that note, and I don't know why you would, but I judge no one here, and it is Halloween, so if you want to see something scary, Nancy Grace did grace Indiana with herself, at least during the state's recollection of what you might term the most damning confession for Richard Allen, the one that he gave to a psychiatrist that worked within the Indiana State Prison. Problem with that is that Miss Nancy Grace, or as I like to call her, Ursula, didn't stay for the cross examination, in which it was found that this particular psychiatrist was in all the true crimer things, giving him all sorts of details about, the crime scene and theories and different things like that. So, Nancy Grace did show up in Indiana, and we are all still recovering. Ooh. Well, that's one way to get out of jail. Quote unquote, "I'll wash your car." Bail bondsmen used code words to free women from jail in exchange for the smexiness. Well, sir, you don't have many cards to play, I guess. Would you like to get out of jail? Would be the only one you could. A Florida bail bondsman is behind bars after authorities say they uncovered a years long scheme where he would pay to get women out of jail in exchange for the smexy time. Russell Bruce Moncrief, 75, of Moncrief bail bonds, is facing charges of racketeering and human trafficking, according to the Central Florida based Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation. Excuse me. The investigation began back in 2021 when victims of a local attorney were busted for human trafficking. John Gillespie told authorities about Moncrief's actions. One victim said Moncrief had paid her bail, and the two went to Gillespie's home where they had the smexy time in an 178-page probable cause arrest affidavit. A former inmate told investigators how women in the Orange County, Osceola, and Brevard County jails talked about Moncrief bonding them out for all the favors. It was so well known that the women would use certain phrases with Moncrief, such as, "I'll wash your car, I'll clean your house." That was code for them offering to, well, give him special favors instead of money. Almost all of the women were vulnerable, and Moncrief took advantage of that, detectives allege. "I just want to get out," one victim says. "I'll wash your car, I'll lick your eyebrows, I'll do whatever favors you need me to do," one said, according to the affidavit. Many of the women were addicted to not street legal pharmaceuticals or involved in the oldest profession that a woman could turn into a business, if you catch my drift. Moncrief allegedly would pay their bail, then take them to one of his homes or offices where they would do the deed. If the women refused, Moncrief would have their bond revoked. A majority of phone calls he receives from inmates are females desperate to get out of jail. The female inmates tell them they're willing to do anything or beg him for help. Although these female inmates clearly do not have the required 10% collateral for the bond, Russell Moncrief entertains them and agrees to bond them out. When male inmates call him, Russell Moncrief disregards them and tells them to call his office. Per the affidavit, law enforcement was first alerted to Moncrief's alleged crimes as far back as 2011. Florida Department of Law Enforcement received a tip from a failed bondsman who said he had heard from clients that Moncrief would loiter in the parking lot of the Orange County Jail and solicit females for mouth hugs in exchange for bonds. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to have a stable business, go to where all your business comes from, the jail. The tipster further stated that the activity had been going on for years. The FDLE forwarded the complaint to the Department of Insurance for further investigation. It is not clear what happened to that investigation. The case is being prosecuted by Florida Attorney General's Office of Statewide Prosecution. The defendant used his position as a bail bondsman to prey on women in the criminal justice system. After bailing his victims out of jail, he would use his power over them to sell the women for smex to others for his own financial gain. Working with MBI, we uncovered the sickening scheme and will prosecute the defendant on human trafficking and racketeering charges. Agents raided Moncrief's offices in Orange, Brevard, and Osceola counties over the summer. They also tapped his phone and conducted surveillance on him. Cops arrested him Tuesday and took him to the Seminole County Jail, where he remains without bond. Yeah. In a good story, because we've had kind of a mix of both, I thought we needed a really, really good story. And this one was one of the best ones I saw all week. Society of Ryans save infant Ryan's life by raising enough money for treatment in under an hour. They knew it was the Rye in thing to New York Post. We have talked about your puns. Stop it. A celebrated society exclusive to people named Ryan sprung into action upon her learning that a baby of the same name needed money for a life-changing operation. In little less than an hour, the viral nationwide Ryan meetup group, which threw a huge regional bash in Brooklyn last year, met the fundraising goals for 2-month-old Ryan, a Kenyan boy suffering from severe neurological issues of hydrocephalus. It all began when 50-year-old Ryan Ressler of Leafwood, Kansas, who was made aware earlier this month of the child's condition, which causes developmental issues from excessive brain fluid. He learned of it through a crowdfunding program, Whatsy, to which Ressler is a regular contributor. The site detailed that little Ryan's condition will make him experience severe physical and developmental delays, if not for a surgery that would greatly improve the quality of his life. So this is baby Ryan, and it looks like they were able to fund his entire surgery. With proper treatment, Ryan will hopefully develop into a strong, healthy young boy, the fundraising page read. Due to the attention needed for Ryan's condition, the single mother can't work and the family relies on the baby's grandfather, who loads sand onto trucks for a living. Ressler, a creative director and avid enthusiast of the Ryan page, said that when Whatsy emailed him that this baby needed the public's aid, he knew what must be done. I emailed the Ryan meetup and said, "Hey, there's a little Ryan that needs our help," Ressler told the Post, wasting no time in sharing the memo after receiving the heartbreaking plea on Monday. If every Ryan chips in, we can make a huge difference for this little Ryan and prove once again why this community is so special, the Tuesday Instagram post read. In under 60 minutes, though Ressler thinks it was closer to 45 minutes, Ryan's coast-to-coast banded together to contribute the remaining $559 of the total $719 needed to change the tyke's course of life. Whatsy replied to me and said that we were wondering where the donations were coming in so quickly. The website even told him it was one of their fastest ever fundraisers completed. It took a few emails and someone around the world who is now benefiting from everyone coming together. Meanwhile, the Ryans of the world are elated to see their happy-go-lucky page be responsible for something so meaningful. All it took was an hour, and Ryan took care of Ryan, one Ryan commented on the post. "This is why I love being a Ryan," another joyfully added on a follow-up photo sharing the good news. So I'm absolutely ecstatic that this sweet baby boy will get a chance to live without a lot of complications, and that people got together and, helped a little boy that they didn't even know just because his name happened to be Ryan. Now, on to a truly terrifying story. Well, Gypsy Rose is going to be a parent, but apparently there may be some shenanigans afoot. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's ex-husband accused her of trying to sell pre-birth paternity test results and slams her homewrecker boyfriend. Get your Jerry Springer limited edition folding chair out because there's going to be a smackdown. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's ex-husband, Ryan Anderson, has questioned her strange desire to get a pre-birth paternity test for her unborn child. The 33-year-old, who filed for divorce from Anderson in April, confirmed that she took a pre-birth paternity test this week to prove the father of her unborn child is her current boyfriend, Ken Erker. The move prompted Anderson to take to social media to weigh in on his ex's decision, telling his 717,000 TikTok followers that he had no doubts about Urker being the baby's father. I've never once questioned who the baby daddy was, Anderson said in a TikTok video Tuesday. I never once said I'm going to make a fuss about it or I'm going to prevent this or do that. I've never said anything like that. I've always said, guys, it's not my baby. Anderson, a Louisiana middle school special education teacher, said it's sad he found out that Blanchard was getting the test through online outlets, and he thinks that the couple is trying to, cash in. Now they're probably going to sell the results. Surprise, surprise. They already know. I put money that they already know who the baby daddy is, he says. I would just have waited until the baby was born and make it a simple swab instead of having to have a procedure. Yeah, probably. The soon to be first time mom underwent a non invasive test that collected DNA from her blood as well as DNA from Urker via a cheek swab, the outlet adds. Gypsy probably already had the procedure done, Anderson said in his video. You wouldn't tell TMZ about it unless you knew for a fact already who the baby daddy already was. So, Ken, congratulations. You're still a homewrecker, in my opinion, but that's your baby. I've never fought that. Gypsy knows that. The Post has reached out to the Blanchard's representative for a comment. In an unusual twist of fate, Anderson could still be listed as the father of Blanchard's child on the baby's birth certificate due to a Louisiana law, which states that if the mother has been divorced for less than 300 days at the time of the birth, the husband or ex husband is presumed to be the father unless a paternity test proves otherwise. I am doing okay, but there is this. Please, Lord, let this woman have some normal, sane, functional humans to help her raise this tiny human because she didn't have the best examples. And holy crow, this seems like a really bad idea. Now, Blanchard and Urker met through a pen pal program while Blanchard was serving a 10-year second sentence for second-degree murder of her mother, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard. The duo got engaged in 2018 but went their separate ways shortly thereafter. Blanchard went on to strike up a romance with Anderson. Their romance blossomed as they began regularly writing to each other while she was again still incarcerated. Now, Anderson and Blanchard were married in a jailhouse ceremony at Missouri's Chillicothe Correctional Center in July 2022. The love that was. I don't know. You marry a dude that looks just like your mom who you allegedly conspired to unalive. Maybe there's problems. Now, Blanchard was released from prison in December 2023, and then she split from Anderson, 38. 3 months later, she filed for divorce in April. Shortly after the separation, the convicted murderer rekindled her romance with Urker, and their baby is expected January 2025. Lord, keep this baby safe because this chick's your mom. Now, in a heartbreaking story from my home state, and this one has been a long one coming because it took forever for this woman to actually get charges. And yeah, she goes directly to Snake Island, in my opinion. I don't know that Lord Chippy wants to mess with her. But, quote, he was acting bad. 340-pound foster mom basically sat on a 10-year-old boy for several minutes and then wondered how he passed away. Sarah Boone's, aunt, I'm looking at you, ma'am. A 49-year-old woman in Indiana is facing years behind bars after admitting to her role in unaliving her 10-year-old foster son by sitting on the boy's midsection for several minutes after he had asked a neighbor to call 911 because he was being mistreated. Now, there is ring footage of this woman sitting on this child. I don't recommend looking at it. It will make you want to possibly do things that are not legally advisable by anyone. but it is absolutely she has a I have been fluffy. I am semi-deflating right now, but I have been fluffier than I am currently. I have been less than I am currently. So this is not about body shaming, but you're damn near 400 pounds and you sat on a 10-year-old. You absolute idiot. Jennifer Lee Wilson on Tuesday pled guilty to one count of reckless homicide in the death of young Dakota Stevens. Records reviewed by Law and Crime show. In Indiana, an individual convicted of reckless homicide faces up to 6 years in state correctional facility and a maximum fine of $10,000. As Law and Crime previously reported, deputies with the Porter County Sheriff's Office at about 3:37 p.m. on April 25th, 2024, responded to a call regarding an unresponsive 10-year-old at a home in Valparaiso, Indiana, which is about 150 miles northwest of Indianapolis, very close to Chicago, the birthplace of Mr. Moe, and slightly close to Gary, Indiana. Once there, first responders found the boy, later identified as Dakota, lying on the ground near the home's driveway. Someone was providing CPR to the boy, whose deputies said was not conscious, not breathing, and had no pulse. First responders also noted that the victim had visible bruising to his lower neck and chest. Deputies took over CPR until emergency medical personnel arrived on scene and took Dakota to the hospital, where unfortunately he passed away 2 days later. An autopsy determined his manner of death was homicide, and the cause of the death was severe swelling in the brain and being deprived of oxygen for an extended period of time. He also suffered organ damage as well as hemorrhaging of the liver and lungs. She basically crushed him, you guys. I wish that I could church it up a little bit, but she crushed him. I mean, this is the same kind of injuries that you would see if, one of those giant 4 bajillion pound, tube televisions had fallen on a child. And she was doing when she's laying on him. Now, most people, if you're trying to restrain or do a restrictive hold, which, not being a foster parent in Indiana, I am not even sure what the, you know, procedures are on that, but you don't put your entire weight. I myself, even semi-deflating, would not put my entire weight on a child, but she basically was just pancaking him. She was pancaking him, she put her entire weight on him, and then she was confused about what the hell happened. And thank you, Maxima Raid. Thank you guys so much. But this was heartbreaking, and it took so long for her to even get a charge. At the scene, police made contact with Wilson, whom they described as being visibly distraught. Wilson explained that Dakota had been acting out all day and at one point refused to do his chores and left the house, according to the probable cause affidavit. Wilson said she found him talking to another woman a few blocks away. The other woman explained that Wilson that Dakota had requested she call the police. Wilson told the other woman to, quote, mind her own business, end quote, and was able to get Dakota back in the car and drive him home. However, after initially refusing to get out of the car, Dakota reportedly exited and screamed that he was leaving. Wilson stated that she attempted to stop him from leaving, and she doesn't know if she tackled Dakota or they fell to the ground. However, her intention was to hold him. Now, police said that footage from a Ring doorbell camera showed Wilson laying on Dakota's midsection near the area of his head and neck. While the footage initially showed the boy fighting and flailing to get free, police said that 2 clips that ran for about 7 minutes show Wilson just sitting atop a motionless Dakota. Burn in hell, bitch. Excuse my French. I generally do not curse on the morning newsy news. 7 minutes? 7 minutes you just laid there, not paying attention if this child was moving? You outweighed him by 270 pounds. You look like the top lady in charge of freaking Monsters, Inc., but I liked her." Oh, this will I y'all, this case tore me up. I wanted to share it with you because unfortunately, this did not get a lot of international coverage. I will say that Misery Machine, a channel that does just excellent, beautiful, respectful, um, and absolutely well-researched, looks at some of these cases, involving abuse towards children. Misery Machine did an episode on this, but this hasn't been widely, put out. Now, when Wilson realized that Dakota had lost consciousness, police said she could be heard screaming his name before saying, "I was laying on him. He was acting bad." According to authorities and the medical information in this case, Dakota was 4 feet 10 inches tall and weighed only 90 pounds, while Wilson was 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighed 340 pounds. The sentencing hearing will be on January 17th, 2027, and I will write that on my uh, list of things to keep a look at because I will bring you what this person gets in far as sentencing. But it basically took about 6 months for this woman to even get charged with anything. They were going to, just kind of let it slide. Well, for any of you that eat quarter pounders, please be, I guess, careful or don't eat quarter pounders right now. A Colorado teen is fighting kidney failure after eating a McDonald's quarter pounder. 15-year-old high school freshman is hospitalized with severe complications of food poisoning after eating a McDonald's quarter pounder hamburger 3 times in the weeks before the deadly E. coli outbreak being detected. Camberlyn Bauer of Grand Junction, Colorado, had to be flown 250 miles to a hospital near Denver in mid-October, where she received dialysis for 10 days in an urgent effort to save her kidneys. She is one of at least 75 people sickened and 22 hospitalized in the outbreak tentatively traced to contaminated onions. In Mesa County, where Camberlyn lives, 11 people have fallen ill and one person unfortunately passed. Federal health officials have said that slivered onions used on burgers were likely the source of the outbreak. The ordeal left Camberlyn's mother, Brittany Randall, worried about her daughter's health and shaken at the idea that a burger could potentially cause so much harm. It's pretty scary to know that we put so much faith and trust that we're going to be eating something that's healthy and for it to be broken, Randall said. She's moving to sue the fast food chain after Camberlyn was infected with E. coli bacteria that was the same strand that was basically confirmed in the outbreak. So they do have a tangible link to, this being the absolute same bacterium that was, responsible for the outbreak. This bacteria produces a dangerous toxin that can cause severe kidney disease complications known as hemolytic uremic syndrome, according to medical experts. Many children are hospitalized for weeks and some go on to require kidney transplants, said Dr. Mayinda Khalid, a kidney specialist at Riley Hospital for Children in Indiana. But Riley's hospital is not involved in Camberlyn's care. Time is critical, Khalid said. We have to get through this window and we have to get through it with a lot of care. The condition can be fatal, but most children eventually recover. Camberlyn said she ate 3 McDonald's quarter pounders with cheese, extra pickles, and onions 3 times between September 27th and October 8th. She said the burgers were easy to grab during football halftime and while watching a school softball game. She said she didn't start feeling sick until a couple days after and remember experiencing a fever, all the things you get when you get food poisoning. I couldn't get out of bed, she recalled. I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat. I was surviving on popsicles. I felt like crap. Randall, who works as a jail guard, has 3 older children and thought that her young daughter might just have the flu. But when Camberlin texted to say she had, blood in both her feces and urine and was vomiting blood, Randall knew that it was serious. On October 11th, Camberlin went to the hospital in Grand Junction. Doctors said she likely had a stomach bug. She was sent home with instructions to stay hydrated. By October 17th, she was feeling no better and returned to the emergency room. At that time, tests showed that she was in acute kidney failure, her mother said. She was flown to Children's Hospital Colorado in Aurora, near Denver, where she remained on Tuesday. Chris Kempinski, a McDonald's chairman and president and CEO, apologized for the outbreak Tuesday on a conference call with investors. Nothing is more important to us than the safety of our customers. And the recent spate of E. coli cases is deeply concerning, and hearing reports of how it's impacted our customers has been wrenching for us. Our lawyers are terrified. Randall said her daughter's health future and medical costs are uncertain. The hospital bills are racking up. I'm a single mom, and I just don't know that I can necessarily afford all of what's coming after this, and I don't know what the future looks like either. So hopefully they have, different resources that she can use. Your kidneys are obviously a vital part of your body that you need to have working, and hopefully this young girl can go back to, doing things that young teenage girls do and, ignoring her mom and, saying nothing when asked what's wrong. Hopefully that can go back to almost all that is normal. Well, you know, you never get away with anything forever. A Florida man was arrested in connection with the 2016 disappearance of his ex and their daughter. Please tell me he wrote it down and or screenshotted it, because that just seems to be the caliber of criminals we have, which I'm okay with because they need to get caught. Over 8 years after a Florida woman and her 8-year-old daughter disappeared, the FBI has arrested the young girl's father. Gustavo Costanzo uh, Restapito, 55, was indicted on suspicion of kidnapping resulting in death for the disappearance of his ex, Liliano Moreno, and the pair's daughter, Daniela, authorities said. Gustavo appeared in federal court in Miami on Tuesday and will be back on Friday for a pre-trial hearing. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida said in a news release that Gustavos is accused of kidnapping Moreno and that kidnapping resulted in the death of both Moreno and Daniela. According to the FBI, Moreno and her daughter were last seen on May 30th, 2016, in or near the Home Depot on Okeechobee Road in Hialeah. Moreno was 41 years old and Daniela was 8 when they disappeared. They have not been heard from since. Detectives told NBC South Florida that the day they vanished, Gustavo went to pick up Moreno and her daughter, and the couple got into an argument. Gustavo told detectives he dropped the two off on Turnpike Avenue. Detectives found unfinished meal preparations and personal belongings when they searched Moreno's home in Doral after the disappearance, showing that she had likely planned to return. A few days later, police told the station that they found a self-deletion ideation Gustavo in a parking lot with self-inflicted stab wounds. During a confrontation with police, Gustavo lost his right eye after an officer stunned him. Holy flipjacks. In 2021, 5 years after the disappearance, FBI listed the reward of $25,000 for any information leading to Moreno or her daughter's whereabouts. NBC South Florida said investigators pointed to Gustavo as a person of interest previously, but lacked enough information to arrest him until now. Now, what I do wonder, since this is federal court and we don't get to see this, televised, what new information do they have that they can now charge this man versus when he, lost an eyeball being, death by cop sort of guy? I think it will be interesting if the, federal government will release kind of the information to get flesh out this a little bit more. Have they found the bodies? Can the families now bury their loved ones? Do did he confess? Did they tap his phones? I mean, it is a little hard when these things go to federal case or federal court because we don't always get all the information all the time. In our final story, I can't tell if this statue is nightmare fuel or I really dig it, but it is not going to be up for very much longer. A New Zealand city waves goodbye to its quote unquote disturbing giant hand sculpture that many have come to love. Perched on two fingers on the roof of an art gallery in Wellington, New Zealand, the giant sculpture of a hand has loomed over the city for 5 years. Named Quasi, the 16-foot, almost 5-meter creation of Australian based sculpture, Ronnie Van Hout, bears an unsmiling human face because why not? Some have found it disturbing, and now, after 5 years of provoking controversy and a myriad of emotions from horror and revulsion to delight, among residents of New Zealand's capital, Quasi will be removed from the roof of the city gallery this week. It will be taken to a new home, the gallery said Wednesday. This is either a great day for Wellington or a terrible day for Wellington, and there's not much view between, said Ben McNulty, a Wellington City Council member. Personally, McNulty told the Associated Press he felt, quote unquote, devastated by the sculpture's departure. Quasi is made of steel, polystyrene, and resin and is based on scans of Van Hout's hand and face. It was named in part for Quasimodo, the bell ringer in Victor Hugo's 1831 novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, hence the male gender that some have attributed to Quasi. Well, I I am not reading this, but it sounds like something my brothers would say. You know, it makes about sense. Yeah, we do not know what pronoun. This is made apparently it's made of steel, polystyrene, and, resin. Just imagine, like, telling your mom, like your mom's like, "So what are you working on today?" "Giant hand." "Doing a giant hand job, if you will, mom." That would be my youngest son. He'd be like, "Doing a real giant hand job, and you can't get mad at me, mom, because it is in fact a hand. I am using the word correctly." I can only see that being youngest, most ferals, uh, you know, general go-to statement. But there you are. There's some news, some good, some bad, some also you guys don't remember going forward through this day. Let's get justice for Peanut. We are we are gonna get Peanut back, damn it. He likes waffles, he's a cool dude, he likes sitting in hats, he likes wearing his own hat. We're getting Peanut and his, friendly trash panda best friend out of the clink. That's what we're doing. It just of all the things going on in the world, New York decides that, stealing a chipmunk or a squirrel from where it should be is, you know, just ridiculous. Any hoozle, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Don't forget today I am doing the scariest thing I can imagine. So I will be streaming Owens's Closing or Sarah Boone's Time on the Stand. You have your pick. We will get into chat. When I start at 10:30, I will put up a poll, and wherever we land on the poll is whatever scary thing I'll be looking at. Those were the scariest 2 things. Otherwise, I'd have to go full on DEFCON 12 to a Nancy Grace show, and that's just a level of terror I am not willing to deal with lately. So, I will see you guys soon. Have a great day if I don't see you the rest of the day. Happy Halloween. Don't eat all the candy. Limit yourself to a good, 5 handfuls and, you know, a Pepto-Bismol. Bye, you guys.